cyangwa inkeneye eshanu eshatu uwo nguko byagenda kose agomba kubona ubundi ni ukuvuga aho uruzingi ufite kontraperima ishobora gutangamo ubwo credit card ni myaka itatu ugomba gufata credit card ifata mu myaka cyangwa ngo yantone none Antoni ikibazo aho uruzingi ukuvuga nka Antoni we afite permanent permanent imyaka ibiri tuvuge no ariko Antoni niko bimeze kuko bakondisiyo ya mbere aho bivuze kubara kumezira
kuko nijero kumbwira ati abonye umuntu ugutwara birabira kuri 240.
So welcome to today's class. As I said, I want to make the class as short as possible. I think I've overtaught and it's taking a toll on me. I need some short breaks. So I'm not really, I think it's because of continuously teaching for the whole day for quite a number of days, teaching 5 different classes, but now I'm trying to balance my time. So maybe before we start, I hope CASNEB students, you have already had the communication. There was a board meeting today which postponed your exams. So it's not a management decision of CASNEB, but it's a board decision. It's a board resolution. It was because there is lockdown in Kenya and it was not possible to organize exams. So that is one of the major factors that has contributed to that. So we cannot have exams for maybe 500 students and we cancel exams for 40,000 students. So that is the reason why it was made that exams are postponed, because in CASNEB, I think there are around 40,000 students. They could not cancel for one group and leave the other. So you have more time to prepare. So let's hope you'll take advantage of that and prepare for the next, is it 2 weeks or 3 weeks? You have been added 3 more weeks. I hope it's 3 weeks. Yeah, around 3 weeks. So make sure you prepare well for that. However, for ICPA, I think you did not pray enough. Those who are not prepared for exams, your prayers were never answered. So sometimes prayers come as no. So I think Moses, you need to pray more. So, okay, let's now go to branch. Sorry, not branch. I don't know why I'm talking of branch. So we are going to consignment accounts. Now, in consignment accounts, it's the same concept as branch accounts that we had looked at in the previous time. But let me give a scenario before we start looking at definition of terms. I have 2 examples I'm going to cover today, one past paper question and one book example. So, but they are not really complicated. That is the only consolation on that. Now, how does consignment work? Suppose we have a company, let's call it ABC Limited in Kigali, and this company in Kigali wants to sell products in Msanze. And if it wants to sell products in Msanze, the company in Kigali does not have a branch. You know, if the company in Kigali had a branch in Msanze, we could apply the concepts of branch accounting. what we looked at last week on Wednesday, if I'm not wrong. But now, if the ABC Limited does not have a branch in Msanze, yet it wants to sell its products in Msanze, what will it look? It will look for another company or person in Msanze, and this person will be their agent. So ABC Limited in Kigali will be the principal, and the other party will be its agent. You know how agents work, even agents of MTN, etc. You know how agency works. So this agent in Msanze will now be selling products on behalf of ABC Limited in Kigali. Now, as they sell products on behalf of ABC Limited in Kigali, they'll be receiving what? A commission that is based on the sale. So the fee that they'll be receiving is a commission. Remember, it's not a branch of ABC Limited. They are just what? They are just agents of ABC Limited. So in consignment accounts, this is a principal versus agent relationship, where one business who is the owner of the goods is the principal, and the seller of the goods who receives the commission is called an agent. So principal is the owner of the goods. Now it's upon the principal, who is the owner of the goods, to pay all expenses that are incurred by the agent. So if the agent spends on any expense, they will ask the principal to repay the expenses that have been incurred. Now in consignments accounts, the principal is called consigner. The agent is called consignee. I'm coming to that. The relationship that exists between the parent, and the agent is called consignment. The relationship is what is called consignment. The principal is called consigner. The agent is called consignee. So that is what now I'm explaining here. So what is consignment? Consignment means one person sends goods to the other person to be sold on commission basis on behalf and at the risk of the sender of the goods. Please understand that very well. So we have said ABC Limited sends goods to maybe XYZ Limited in Msanze, and XYZ Limited will be selling the goods on behalf of what? ABC Limited, and XYZ will be receiving a commission. And it is the duty of ABC Limited in Kigali also to meet all the costs, risks associated with the sale of the goods. So the XYZ in Msanze is just an agent. So who is the consigner? It is ABC Limited. So who is the consigner? The person who sends the goods to be sold on his behalf and at the risk on a commission. So the sender of the goods, the owner of the goods, is the one who is called the consigner. Who is the consignee? The receiver of the goods, the agent, the person who sells on behalf of the consigner, on behalf of the principal. So who is a consignee? The person who receives the goods to be sold on commission basis on behalf and risk of the consigner. So the recipient of the goods, the agent, is the consignee. Now, normally what happens in such a relationship, the principal, the ABC Limited, the company that is based in Kigali, in the example that I've given, normally asks the consignee to give them some money in advance as a commitment. So remember, the principal, the consigner, will be sending goods to Msanze so that XYZ Limited sells the good on their behalf. But XYZ must also pay for the goods in advance. So ABC Limited will ask XYZ to send some money in advance. That is what we call advance in this relationship. Amount sent by the consignee. Remember, consignee is the agent, to consigner in advance. That is what is called advance. Remember, consignee, who is the consignee? It is the agent. The agent. So the money that is sent by the agent to the consigner. Who is the consigner? The principal. The principal. Okay? You know, these last item things, I'm just trying to make them as simple as possible. So recurring expenses. Everyone, I think, knows what a recurring expense is. A recurring expense is expenses that are repeated. For example, if the consigner pays rent on behalf of the consignee, every month the consigner will be paying rent. So rent will be a recurring what? Expense. A recurring expense is an expense that repeats itself. I've given an example. If the consigner is paying salaries, etc., in that case, commissions, etc., those are what? Recurring expenses to the consigner. Non-recurring expenses are expenses that are not repeated. They are expenses that are one-off. For example, when the consigner is sending goods to Msanze, I'm assuming the consignee is in Msanze, there is the transportation goods, that is one-off. They are only incurred when the goods are being transported. Pro forma invoice, I don't need to explain that. Everyone knows what an invoice is. Okay. So in this case, there are three major accounts that we need to prepare. There is what we call consignment accounts. Okay, maybe this is not very clear. Let me call the first and the second consignment. Consignment. You know, it's somebody who was typing for me the notes and the notes type. Okay, consignment account. And in this book, in the books of, I'll have these books of, in the books of, I think this is better to put it this way, in the books of consignee. And the first one is also consignment account, but in the books of consigner, so that the difference is very clear. What was there before was confusing. So consignment account in the books of the consignee and in the books of what? Consigner. That is number one. Number two, in the books of the consignee. And also we can look at goods sent on consignment. Goods sent on consignment. You okay? I don't know what you are asking. If the consignee sends money in advance, why it not become customer? No, that is not a customer. Remember, they'll be paid a commission. Are customers paid commission? The person who has asked that question. Are customers paid commission? No. Now, we have MTN in Rwanda. MTN has got very many agents in different places. When these agents pay MTN in advance, these agents will still receive commission. We have different banks in Rwanda who operate agents, who operate through agents. When agents send money to the different banks in advance, that does not mean the agents are customers. The customers are the people who the agents serve. So please don't confuse that. Remember, the Beka agents will still may send money to Beka in advance as commitment. But if that is services, what about goods? Goods also, you can send money in advance, yet the agent will still be paid a commission. So long as there is a commission, that is not a customer. That is an agent. Okay. For more of that, I think you can look at company law. You know what an agency relationship is. Okay, so I hope I've clarified that. So can we read this example before we go to the second example on past paper? Please take your time to read this and understand it. So the question reads, yes, it's also applied in insurance. It's also applied in insurance. And all sectors, be it services or service organizations, or be it or be it product making organizations or product selling organizations, it's still the same principle. So Virunga of Kigali, please let's understand Virunga of Kigali consigned goods of the cost of 20,000 to Bisoke of Gisenyi. So these are just names. I don't know how the names were derived. So Virunga of Kigali consigned goods of the cost of 20,000 to Bisoke of Gisenyi. So Virunga, in this case, become, now if I put it there, people will think that it was part of the question. Let me not put it there. You may think that you'll be given that. So Virunga is the principal. Bisoke is the agent. I hope we agree on that. Virunga is the consigner. Bisoke is the consignee. Virunga is the principal. Bisoke is the agent. So if you have been asked in the books of the consigner is Virunga. In the books of consignee is Bisoke. Let's continue. So remember, Virunga is in Kigali, Bisoke is in Gisenyi or Rubavu, whatever it is. So the consigner paid, so Virunga is the consigner. The consigner paid freight of 1,000 and insurance of 500 and received an advance of 10,000 by check from Bisoke. So Bisoke paid 10,000 by check in advance. The consignee, who is the consignee? Bisoke. The consignee paid carriage of 300 and octree. Okay, octree, this is a term that is used for duty when you are transiting goods and you are getting into, maybe it doesn't apply in Rwanda, which means this was a copy paste question from somewhere else. When you are moving from one town to the other, if there is any duty that you pay from one city to the other, duty that is paid on goods, that is called octree. But mostly it's not in Rwandan taxation system. It's not in Rwandan taxation system. So duty on goods entering what? The town of Gisenyi. So the consignee sold all the goods for 30,000 and sent an account what? Sales. So once they sold the goods, they sent their accounts to the consigner, Virunga. So he also sent a check, that is Bisoke. So instead of saying he, we can talk of Bisoke so that we are not confused. Bisoke also sent a check to Virunga for an amount due after deducting his expenses with commission. So let me be slow there so that I understand. Can we stop typing our details so that we only type questions? Let's stop typing our details. I want us only to look at. So Bisoke also sent a check to Virunga of an amount due after deducting his expenses along with commission at 10% on gross sales proceeds. So that is our example one. Please let's understand that example. I'll give you another chance to read it when I open Excel. Also, I had asked one of you to send me a question last week. Somebody sent me a question. I had already captured it. I've forgotten where I wrote it. June 2016, question 1A. That question will also look at. It's also on consignment accounts. June 2016, question 1A. We'll also look at it. Andrew, thank you. You are the one who sent me that. So there is June 2016, question 1A, which is also on consignment. We'll also look at that. Consignment is not something very complicated. So let's look at Excel. Consignment accounts. So I have the two questions. This one is the June, which is the second question that we'll be doing. I've said today I don't want to take much time. Once we complete these two questions, we'll just be done for today. So now, let's read this again and again. Last time I was told I was a bit fast, so let me be a bit slow. So Virunga of Kigali consigned goods of the cost of 20,000 to Bisoke of Gisenyi. The consigner paid for freight and insurance of 500 and received an advance of 10,000 by check from Bisoke. The consignee paid carriage of 300 and octree of 200. The consignee sold all the goods for 30,000 and sent an account sales. He also, that is Bisoke, is it Bisoke? Yes, Bisoke. He also sent a check to Virunga of an amount due after deducting, which means after the agent selling the goods, they also sent the check to the principal, but after deducting their expenses. So after knowing how much they incurred on expenses, they sent the balance. They sent the balance to the principal. So prepare consignment what? Account. So I don't only want to prepare that. I want us to prepare consignment account in the books, okay? Let me just put it here. Consignment account in the books of consigner. I'll also want to prepare, that is number one. I'll also want to prepare consignment account in the books of consignee. And also I'll need to prepare a third account. Remember, the examiner only asks you for one or two. But in this case, this is what we were asked: goods sent on consignment. So we'll also need to prepare goods sent on consignment account. So please, let's be together here. I'm setting some rules so that we understand. Now, consigner is the principal. I hope we all agree. Consigner is who? Virunga. So remember, consigner is Virunga. Consignee is Bisoke. So I hope that is clear as we start. So consigner is Virunga, the owner of the goods. Consignee is Bisoke. Now, whenever you are preparing consignment account, it's like a P&L account. You remember the traditional P&L account, what used to be called trading profit and loss account. So what used to be called trading profit and loss account. So in this case, on the debit side, you post expenses. I'm repeating. On the debit side, maybe let me have footnotes here. On the debit side, post expenses, whichever, even if they are for the consigner or the consignee, you post expenses. Because even if they are for consignee, at the end of the day, the consigner will have to refund those expenses. So on the debit side, you post what? Expenses. On the credit side, you post income. You post what comes in. And then get the balancing figure. If on the debit side, it's a profit. You remember branch accounts? If the balance is on the credit side, it's a loss. So if the balance is on the debit side, the balancing figure is on the debit side, it's a profit. If the balancing figure is on the credit side, it's a loss. Now, when you come to consignment, post the figures that affect consignee from the consigner account. I will explain that through an example. You post the figures if on the debit side debit side of consigner, comma, post it on the credit side. So if the amount is on the debit side of consigner account, when you come here, you'll post it on the credit side. If it's on the credit side, you post it on the debit side. So if on the debit side of the consigner, post on the credit side of consignee, and vice versa, and vice versa, and vice versa. So let's look at this question. Now, we have said on the debit side of consignment account, we post expenses. We post what? Expenses. But now, before you post that, what we learned in branch accounts, let's read it again. First of all, you post the goods. The starting point is the principal sending goods. The principal sending goods to the consignee. Now, when the principal sends goods, that is a cost. That is an expense. So we call it to goods sent on what? Consign. I hope I've written to goods sent on consignment. What was the value of goods sent on consignment? Let's read here. Virunga of Kigali consigned goods of the cost of 20,000 to Bisoke of Gisenyi. So the goods that were sent to Bisoke in Gisenyi were worth that. It is a cost. That is why it's on the debit side. We have said expenses are on the debit side. I hope you've understood that. Next, the consigner paid. So how much? So here, too, consigner paid, maybe we are assuming they paid in cash. And instead of, so they paid in cash for expenses. Which expenses? The consigner paid freight. So he paid an expense called freight, and he also paid an expense called insurance. I hope we are together. Freight and what? Insurance. Freight and insurance. So they paid, so the consigner paid freight 1,000 and insurance and received an advance of 10,000. Advance is not posted in this account. I'm repeating, advance is not posted here. It is posted on consignee. I will explain the reason why as we continue. So just excuse me a bit. Okay, so let me push this forward so that you know it's part of that. So what was the freight charges? Freight charges were 1,000. Insurance charges were 500. Freight charges were 1,000. Insurance charges were? Yes, freight charges are the same as transport. Okay, so what is the total freight charges? Freight charges is 1,000 plus 500. 1,000 plus, it's 1,500. Now, there was also, I hope we are together there. There was also, let's continue. I will explain where to use that 10,000. It's an advance. It's an advance from who? Consignee. So remember, that is not an income. It's an advance payment, which means if we fail to comply with the contract of the principal and the agent, we may be asked to refund. Okay, so in this case, so that's why we don't post it. We only post incomes and expenses. Advance is not an income, although it is cash received, but it is not earned. We have not earned that money. We have not earned. That is why we don't post it. I hope we are together. Now, you come and the consignee, who is consignee? Bisoke, if I'm not wrong. Consignee is Bisoke. Regardless of whether it's an expense, yes, Rebecca, now it's regardless, because what is the rule of consignment accounts? It is the principle to meet all expenses. It's the principle to meet all expenses. whether the principal pays them directly or the agent pays for the expenses and then is refunded by the principal. So long as it's an expense, you debit it. I hope I'm clear there. So let's continue. The consignee paid. Consignee. So I'll talk of consignee. The principal did not pay cash here. It's the consignee who paid for the expenses, but they will be refunded. The consignee paid carriage. So I'll call these to Bisoke. Remember, Bisoke is the consignee. They paid for what? Carriage. And whatever the other one was, whatever it was called, octroi. We've said those ones are just taxes levied on movement from one town to the other. Just Google search octroi. You will see what it means. You know, you should be a friend of Google. You'll know what octroi means if you just Google search that. So carriage is. Yes, carriage is 300. The tax on movement in towns is 200. Movement of goods is 200. So what is the total? The total is that plus that. So it gives you that. This one, okay? So we have already posted that. Now, there was also the consignee sold goods. Sales is income. Did we agree on that? So this is sales by who? Bisoke. Bisoke is the one selling. But why do we post it on the credit side? So remember, it is what? Sales. Why do we post it on the credit side? Because sales is income. Income is normally credited. So it's 30,000 sales. We post that. I'm just going step by step. Now, Rebecca, don't confuse yourself with published accounts. Don't look for what is not there. You are being told here, the consignee paid. So you need to ask yourself, paid, consignee paid. The consignee is the receiver of the goods, paid carriage. So that is carriage inwards for the consignee. But for the consignor, it's carriage outwards. So, but it's just carriage. That is the point. It is just carriage. To the consignee, it's carriage inwards. To the consignor, it's carriage outwards. Take note of that. We are in consignor accounts. We are in consignor accounts. So I've posted sales. Where have I reached? So I've posted sales next. He also sent a check to Virunga of an amount due after deducting his expenses. So he sent the balance to Virunga of the amount due. Remember, he made sales of 30,000 and then sent that 30,000 minus the expenses, along with a commission at what? 10% on gross sales what? Proceeds. Now, there is commission to Bisoke. So what is commission to Bisoke? Bisoke will be paid a commission. It's a commission. What will be the commission? It will be 10% of gross sales. Of gross sales. Gross sales is 30,000. So this is equals to 10% times gross sales. Gross sales is 30,000. Sorry, it was a different person who asked that question. It's a different person. Sorry, Becky. I thought that it's you had asked that question. Okay. So next. So we have posted everything. Remember, I've said advance is not posted in the consignment in the books of the consignor because it is not earned. That is an amount that is not earned. So you don't post it. So, and then you come and get the totals. The totals on the debit side, maybe let me put it down here. The total on the debit side no, that will bring complications. So the totals on the debit side are 20 plus 15 plus 500 plus 3,000. So that gives you 25,000. Yeah. And this total is 30,000. So which side is more? 30,000. So I'll remove this because 30,000 is more. So you put the one that is more. So the balance carried down is on this side. You can see it will be on the credit side. So the balance carried down, will it be a profit or loss? Somebody to help me. Profit or loss? Profit. Thank you. It is what? Profit. Profit 2. It is 2. It's a profit. It's a profit. And let me call it balancing figure so that you know it's a balancing figure. So it's a profit of how much? 30 minus 20 minus 15 minus 500 minus 3,000. So it's a profit of what? 5,000. Do you see the way consignment account is easy? So that is consignment. So in which books? That is consignment account in the books of the consigner. In the books of consigner. In the books of consigner. So let's look at the same transaction, but from the books of consignee. Now, from the books of, now anything that you see is written, the consignee is Bisoke. Anything that I've written Bisoke, anything that I've written as Bisoke, you post it in consignee account. I'm repeating. You can see this is Bisoke. All this is Bisoke. But this one was paid directly, so we don't post it in consignee. Consigner paid these expenses directly, but these expenses were by what? So here, again here, there is Bisoke made sales. So on the consigner account, sales is on the debit side. On consignee account, it will be on the credit side. So anything that is on the debit side, you post it on the credit side and vice versa. So we'll call this by consigner. But remember, it is that sales. You remember it was what? Sales. So what was your sales? Your sales, I bring this figure here. I bring that sales there. And then there are these items too. Bisoke, Bisoke, Bisoke. So, no, it's not by. It is 2. Sorry. 2. It's the sales that will be going to consigner. And then here it will be by, we'll call it consignment. Remember, it was who? It was who? It was Bisoke. So Bisoke, anywhere it was Bisoke. But it was in this side. Look at what I'm picking. I'm picking the total of 500 so that when you are revising, you just select that. And also, there is again another by Bisoke, by consignment. That is those expenses that were paid by Bisoke. Expenses that were paid by Bisoke. But this one is now by Bisoke, but it's the commission. The expense, it's an expense to the consigner, but it's a commission. So let me just call it Bisoke commission. Bisoke what? Commission. So what is the Bisoke commission? Bisoke commission is 3,000. Now what is on the debit? The rule is that what is on the debit side, in the consignee account, you bring it. Now please understand me here. Okay, now there is also that amount that we left out by bank. What was the advance that the consignee paid? The consignee paid how much? The consignee paid an advance. Remember that advance. Remember, why do we post it on the credit? Yes, we post it on the why do we post it on the credit? Okay, Silas, I've understood you. Okay, so now what was the amount? The amount was how much? The amount that was paid by the consignee was 10,000. The advance was 10,000. Now, let's look at it. Remember, let me remove this. I don't need those many cells. Now, what we are trying to say, remember the total sales that consignee made. The total sales that consignee made was 30,000. Now, out of these 30,000, the consignee will deduct. Okay, let me post this first. 30,000. Please understand this. Out of the 30,000 sales that the consignee has made on behalf of consignor, there is an advance that consignee had already paid of 10,000. I want you to understand why it's on the credit side. He will not. Now we want to find the amount of money that the consignee will take to the consignor. First of all, out of these total sales of 30,000, he will remove the advance that he had already paid. And then number two, he will also remove the share of his commission. He's supposed to receive what? A commission of 10%. He will remove his commission. And number three, he will remove the expenses that he had already paid. So the balance is what he sends to. He will send, the balance is to send to who? To who is the parent? Virunga. To what? Virunga. This is the amount of money that he will remit to Virunga. This is the balancing figure that will be sent to Virunga. Because yes, he made sales of 30,000, but he deducts his commission of 3,000. He deducts the expenses he paid by himself, that is the consignee, and he also deducts the amount that he had paid consignor in advance. So how much will he send at the end of the day? The amount that he will send at the end of the day is 500 minus 3,000 minus 10,000. So how much will he send? This is the amount he will send to the principal at the end of the day. After making his sales of 30,000, he deducts the amount he had sent in advance. He deducts his commission because he must be paid. And he also deducts the expense that he paid by himself. Remember, this expense, this one is not deducted. Why is it not deducted? Because this expense, it is the, okay, I wanted to say parent. It is the principal who paid it. It's the principal who paid this. So the consignee never paid that expense. So that is why it's not deducted there. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the much you need to know in consignment. Okay, there is the third account. I forgot about this. Goods. What was the value of the goods? This one, the value of goods, you can see goods here, it is on the debit side. So value of goods, goods sent on consignment, you just credit it. You just say by what? Consignment, you just credit the goods. And remember, the goods are sent at cost. So the goods that were sent were, I just that. And then this is the simplest account to prepare. So, and then you just close. You close the account. You close the account. You also close the account with that. So that is a goods account. But if there were any goods that were returned, you will debit here. If there were any goods that, so this is what goes to what? This is like the closing balance of stock. It is what goes to what we call profit and loss account. To profit and loss account. True profit, it's a balancing. Let me not post it there, it can confuse you. It's good to post a balancing figure down. So let me post it here. To profit and what? And loss account. To profit and loss account. Balancing figure. So how much is it? It just happens still to be, it's still the same. It happens to be 20,000. I've put it in red because it is a balancing figure. Because it's a balancing figure. No. This is a principal agency relationship. This is a principal, James. It's a principal agency relationship. The principal cannot sell goods, cannot send goods to the agent at a profit. No. Remember, for branch, yes. For branch accounts, it's possible, James. But for consignments account, it's not what? Possible. However, if it happens, you just reverse. But that is not possible because this is just your agent. You cannot charge a profit to your agent. But in branch accounts, it's possible. Okay? Thank you. Please, I'm giving you 2 minutes to again look at that before we look at a past paper question. Can you read this question? You look at what we have done there. And in past paper questions, be very careful. Is it consigner or is it consignee? But what I advise you in exams, whether you have been asked for consigner or you have been asked for consignee, it is safe to start with consigner, and then what is on the debit side, you post it on the credit side. Even if you've been asked for consignee, always start with consigner so that it is very easy to post consignee accounts. But always read exams question. What have you been asked? So, okay. What have you been asked? I've zoomed out. The person who asked me to zoom out, I've zoomed out. Okay. Now, can we go to past paper? If you have your past paper, open June 2016, question 1A. June 2016, question 1A. Claude, this is the treatment. Or what do you mean by treatment? Claude, I'm not understanding you. What do you mean by treatment? That is the treatment. Unless you rephrase your question, let us move on. So if you have your papers, please open this. Open this question and read it at least twice before we do it. So read that. The point you need to identify who is the consigner, who is the consignee. That is the first point you need to identify. Who is the consigner and who is the consignee. June 2016, question 1A. I said I wanted to end the class by 7:45. We are remaining with around 25 minutes. So let's follow it. So the question reads, let's just read it together so that we take time and we finish. So Munini Limited is a mechanizing business located in Kigali and has recorded a steady expansion in the last 3 years. In 2014, it opened a branch in Musanze. After procuring the premises and other physical resources needed for the branch to become operational. In order to meet customer demand of the branch without constraining the cash flow of the head office in Kigali, it was appointed as a commission agent. Please Note, this is not branch accounts. That was just a branch of a company in Kigali. But what we are looking at, let me repeat there. In order to meet customer demand of the branch without constraining the cash flow of the head office in Kigali, it was appointed as a commission agent. That was the key word. As a commission agent. As a commission agent for Uruganda Distributors Limited, a company located in Mombasa. Can somebody help me, please, before we continue reading? Who is the principal? Who is the consigner? Who is the consignee? You can type for me in the chat. There are two companies we have seen there. There is Munini and there is Uruganda. Who is the consigner? Who is the consignee? Because it's important to know that. Who is the consigner? Who is the consignee? Thank you. Consigner is Uruganda. Consignee is who? Munini. Thank you for that. So, okay, let's continue then. So you have identified the consigner. The consigner is Uruganda, the company located in Mombasa. The consignee is Munini. Consignee is Munini. Thank you. Now let's continue. So remember, Munini is located in Rwanda. Consigner is located in Kenya, Mombasa. Okay, let's continue. This principal agent relationship has made it possible for Uruganda, who is the consigner, of course, to tap into the Rwandan market and remain a consigner. These people isn't your work there. And remained, they should not have said that, and remained a consigner for Munini since 2014. The consignment agreement provides that Uruganda shall bear all expenses. Uruganda is the consigner. He will bear all expenses of Munini which relate to all consignments, and an agency commission of 10% of all consignment sales shall be paid to Munini. Okay. The following transactions transpired between Uruganda and Munini during the year ended 31st March 2016. The first transaction. On 1st April, that is beginning of the year, 2015, Uruganda sent a consignment of 1,000 boxes to merchandise to Munini at a cost of 200,000 per box. So in consignment account, in the books of consigner, who is who? Consigner is who? Consigner is Uruganda. Okay, so that is consignment in the books of Uruganda. In the books of Uruganda, we have that. Let me just reduce it slightly so that everything fits. Okay, so in the books of Uruganda, we must start with goods. Goods we'll talk of goods sent on what? Consignment. Consignment. I hope you are understanding that. Goods sent on consignment. Let me post it there. Goods sent on consignment is equals to, what was it? This. Point number 1 here. On 1st April, Uruganda sent goods on consignment 1,000 boxes at a cost of 200,000 per box. So this will be, how can I put it so that everything fits? I think I can put it in bracket. 1,000 times 200 times 200,000. So it's just the same principle. So So that will be equals to 1,000 times 200. So it gives you, it's a big figure. It gives you 200 million. 200 million. So that is good sent on. My space is now really wanting. Okay, 200 million. I'll just be moving, don't worry. So that is, we have posted that. Carriage, freight, look at this. Carriage, freight, and insurance. Carriage, freight, and, where is it? Carriage, freight, and insurance cost of the consignment paid by who? Paid by consignee. It is the consignee who paid. So we'll talk here, Rov, to who? To who paid the expense? It is Munini. Munini. Munini is the consignee. So how much, what are they? What are they? What are they? What are they? Carriage, freight. Because it is one, I can just put it into bracket. Carriage, I hope I've picked it well. Carriage. Carriage. What is the other one? Freight. Freight and insurance was how much? 20 million. Is it 20? Yes. Was 20? I hope that is 20 million. Yes, that is 20. We are done with that. On 1st March, Uruganda received 150 million from Munini. So 150 million, that is an advance. Advance you don't post in consignor account. You remember what we said. Advance you don't post in consignor account. You don't post advance to consignor account. You post it in consignee account. Next, Munini incurred the following expenses during the year ended 31st March 2016. So there are again other expenses to Munini. Munini. So what are the expenses? There is delivery charges to customers. These are expenses. That is why they are on the debit side. Next, advertising. Remember, I've still not even read the question. Advertising charges. I've not read the question. Advertising charges. Next, warehouse rent. So these are delivery charges is 259,000. Next, advertising charges is 500,000. And wow, this is very high. This rent was high, 21,600. Yeah, 21,600,000. We have posted that. So what is the total of these other expenses? So the total of those expenses are 22,300,000. And okay, let's continue. I've not even read the question. So next, at the end of March 2016, Munini had sold the whole consignment for how much? 300,000 per box. The whole of the consignment, it was what? It was by Munini. These are what? Sales. These are sales. How much is it? 300,000 times how many boxes? 1,000 boxes. So whatever that gives you. So what was the sales? Sales, we can say it was 300 times 1,000. So what was the sales? 300 million. Now, that was sales. Is it a profit or loss? Somebody to help me. Profit or loss? Now that we are done, is it a profit or loss? Whatever the 150 million that was received is an advance. So you don't post it in the consignor account. I think I had explained that. It is a profit. So we said profit is when it comes. So again, we can delete this. Okay, so I'm here. So you are telling me it's a profit. So this 300 will be on both sides because it's a profit. It's the total there. So it's a profit. To who? How did we call it in the other account? You can see it here. No, I've forgotten commission. Commission. It's good I went back. I've forgotten commission. Do you see commission? You could have reminded me. There is commission. To mu nini commission. Why did you not remind me about commission? So commission is what? Commission is 10% times 300 million. So what is it still a profit? Is it still a profit? Is it still a profit? Let's hope so. To profit balancing figure. I think it's still a profit. So it is 300. Let's test. Minus 200. Yeah, it's still a profit. Minus that, minus that, minus that. So yeah, it is a profit of how much? I'm just trying to verify this. What was 20 million? I'm just trying to verify. 20 million. Yeah, okay, that was okay. That is right. What was... I think we have posted everything. I was just trying to verify. Okay, so we have posted that. Now let's go to consignee. In consignee, what did we say? In consignee, you can see sales is this side. Sales is that side. So what will we call it? Look at what we did in consignee here to consigner. The sales that goes to consigner. So we'll call it to consigner. And remember, it is sales. So we said you just, if it is debit, you make it a credit. So how much was it? We want to know how much the consignee will remit to this person in Mombasa. That is what I want to find out. So that is 300,000. So next, we just reverse these ones to Munini. To Muninis, we just reverse them. So to Munini, so we'll call it by consignment. Anything that was to Munini. Any expense. So the first one was to Munini, 20 million. We want to know how much again, this was to Munini, and you know these are expenses. So to Munini, the second one was that. Okay. The third one was commission. To Munini commission. sorry, by, I mean by consignment, commission. This is commission. How much was the commission? You will also not take your commission. You will remain with your 30 million. You will remain with your 30 million. And then there was also the advance. I think somebody was asking that. The advance, we'll call it by bank. Remember the advance. How much was the advance? How much was the advance? Advance. Yes. On first, Muganda received 150 million from Nini. So that is 150 million. 150. This, okay. So how much cash will be remitted? I'll delete that to have how much cash will be remitted. So we'll just have this 300 million. How much cash will be remitted? So whatever this is what I want to show you by bank. This is what we call it by bank. Balancing what? Figure. This is the amount to be remitted to the company in Mombasa. So it is 300 minus 20 minus 22 minus 30 minus 150. So that gives you, this is the amount that Munini will give to that company in Mombasa. The amount that Munini will give to that company in Mombasa. The amount that Munini will give to that company in Mombasa. So this is called consignment account in the books of the consignee. Let me call it consignment account in the books of consignee. Who is consignee? Consignee is Munini. Now, I've not read the question. Now let's read the question. What are you being asked? Prepare Uruganda consignment account in which books? In the books of Munini. Can you please answer me in the books of Munini? Which account did the examiner ask? Is it the first or the second? Is it the first or the second? The second. Now, you see, consignment account is not technical. Even if you are to ask for the goods sent on consignment, you can also post that. Let me just copy this. Goods sent on consignment, you can also comfortably post that. Let me bring it here so that I save time. You are not asked, but if you have been asked, you can also post that. You can also post that if you are asked. So how much were the goods? The goods were 200,000. You can post that. And of course, you have got the final answer. So whichever account you have been asked, be very keen in exams. Which accounts are affected if goods are returned? Goods sent to. You will debit here. And then also in the consignor account, you will credit here. The person who is asking me if goods are returned, you will credit first of all the goods returned here. And then you will also debit goods returned there. I hope we are together. You will debit in the goods sent account, you will debit here. In the consignment accounts in the books of the consignor, you will credit because it's a reversal of that. Otherwise, I wanted us to stop there. Now, Msanze students, I have already finished with you. Kigali, do you still need me? Or are you as good as Msanze? Or you still need me for some 4 hours? I've finished. Kigali. But remember, I said you send the questions in advance. I've not seen any question, so it means you don't need me. And then I say, you people, you will not be prepared enough. You will not be prepared enough. So unless your prayers can be answered like CASNEB students, it's really somebody's okay. The rest, I think somebody can answer. So when can we meet? For 4 hours, but to be honest, I'm really fatigued. Msanze students know why I'm fatigued. Msanze, I was there on Saturday, the whole day, Sunday, the whole day, Monday, the whole day, Tuesday, the whole day, teaching different classes. So fatigue is really there. And you can imagine Kigali, I was there before. So please, only if it's very important is when I can come. I think you people revise by yourselves. We cannot revise enough. Maybe you can agree on 2 or 3 questions you send me, and then, yeah, I can give you maybe some questions on each topic to practice on. Because I think, to be honest with you people, let me now be honest, I'm really fatigued. You can imagine the number of hours I've put in 5 different subjects. Financial reporting is just one of the many subjects. So maybe I can stop there unless it is really important is when I can meet. But I can try to solve some questions and share with you people. I can try to solve some questions and share. Maybe I can try to solve, if I can be in a position to solve some questions on Saturday and share them on Saturday. Otherwise, have a good night. Have a good night. Let us meet next time in advanced financial reporting. In advanced financial reporting, not in financial reporting, please. In advanced financial reporting. Do we agree that we meet in advanced financial reporting? I don't want to see anybody next semester in financial reporting. Let us all meet in advanced financial reporting. Thank you. Have a good night.